Okay, I don't know how well you can see that, but it's really good. Most of these joints, there's a few of the boards that kind of sit a little bit taller and lower. We're going to use the biscuit joiner to kind of help level that out. But I see a lot of times, when I used to do it, the clamps work really good and the clamps are pretty strong, so there's sometimes an inclination to put the boards in, and as long as you can squeeze them and clamp them together, then good enough. And the truth is that doesn't really work out very well in the long run. If you've got a twisted board as well, let's say you've got 3 good ones and 1 twisted one, and you take that 1 twisted one and you put it somewhere in the middle of your deal, and what it ends up doing is it transfers that twist to all the rest of the boards after you've put your biscuits in. And then you'll use another set of clamps and some boards on the air side, and you'll clamp it all down, and you might be able to clamp it straight and clamp it flat, and you just hope that the glue somehow makes that board want to be something that board really isn't. And afterwards, when you bring it out of the clamps, it still wants to be that twisted board, and so it ends up lifting the corners of your countertop or your table. So it's really worth it to get your boards all flat and let them be just like they want to be. They've been out there for 50, 80, 100 years. And kind of where they're at is where they're going to want to stay at, especially if they're dry. Most of my wood is somewhere below 10% moisture content. And so it doesn't really want to move a whole lot more. But yeah, I guess the trick is just get the boards where they just sit nice and flat and square all together. And then when you unclamp them, you don't have to clamp them that tight, then it wants to be like that as long as it can. I studied economics at the University of Lethbridge, and I had a statistics professor that used to say, you can eat an apple like this, or you can eat an apple like this, but why not just eat an apple like this? And that's kind of what happens with these boards as well. Like you can clamp them and you can twist them and you can make them sit flat during the glue up, but afterwards you haven't really fixed the problem. The only way to fix the problem is in advance by getting your boards done just right. So where I'm at right now, I see a few spots where I actually want to take the hand plane and square, just make a few minor adjustments to try get these gaps. Actually, you know what? It's actually really good. I don't even know if I will make any adjustments. I might switch the boards around a little bit and see if I like a pattern a little different. Part of the video was to have to show you how to do some micro adjustments, but I don't even think I need to. These are all just that good. I am trying to look at what it will kind of look like once it's all done as well. And you know how the saw marks are laying out in relation. So you can see like these 2 boards have more of the center where there's the filler is going to fill in a lot of that. And these ones were pretty flat. Like this one in particular was already a pretty flat board. This one a little bit as well. And so I'm going to stagger those 2 to not have these 2 close together. I think it'll all look good, but you know, I can be picky, so why not? Actually, yeah, the truth is, we're not going to do any micro adjustments. I'm actually really happy with how that sits. We're going to have a nice glue up. So we're going to go to the biscuit joiner. I use, as you all are aware, Makita. I like this battery one. So I'll take one side and kind of line it up, and then I grab a pencil, and I'm going to mark a few places that I'm going to put biscuits. These biscuits, all they help to do is to keep your boards level from the top. Now, my boards are all equal thicknesses, and so like in some cases I wouldn't even use the biscuit joiner, but it's kind of handy when you do go, especially if you're gluing up by yourself, just to kind of get the boards lined up and together. So I'm just going to mark a few spots here. Okay, time to glue this baby up. how much glue you should use. Once you're done, the objective is to have glue squeezing out along all of your joints. That's how you know that you've got enough glue inside of there. I'm going to put these 2x4s on top and just use some of these clamps here. Come right down in the middle. I'm going to use the bar on the bottom and then this 2x4 on top. Just clamp them together so they're just sitting flat along. They don't have to move very much, and it might even be unnecessary, but I'm doing it anyway. One last little test. Clamp. All right, we'll let that one dry. Okay, our glue's dry. We're gonna take the clamps off and move on to the next steps. Okay, what we have here is incontrovertible evidence that you can use your finger to spread glue and still get a good quality glue up. You see, the function of a good glue up it basically comes down to two things. One, the quality of your joints and how tight everything fits together. And second is how much glue you get in the joint. And when you go to do the glue up, if glue squeezes out of the top and the bottom of the joint all the way along, then you've got enough glue in the joints and tight glues. Well, I guess it's three things. The third one would be the quality of the glue, or the type of glue that you're using to do the glue up. Like, for example, you can't use mayonnaise to glue up your wood. Having said that, it is a good argument to suggest that using your finger is an inefficient use of time. It does take longer, and those little spreaders and wheels and foam things, they are a time savings device. That's a good one. But the hypothesis that you can't get a good glue up by using your finger is false. Anyway, who really cares? Let's just move on to the next step. Now that we've got the clamps off, we are going to sand it down, get rid of some of the glue, level everything out, and then put some black filler all over the whole thing. So this is obviously the bottom side of it. I just went over it real quick with the planer to find any little high spots, especially where the joints might have just been a little bit, sometimes one sits up a little bit or something like that. I planed it down, then went over it one time, and now I'll actually go to the drum sander and we'll sand both sides so they're dead flat. Okay, so very similar to when I was milling the boards and I planed the bottom side in relation to the top side and then planed the top side. I'm gonna do something very similar. This piece, like in a lot of cases, and if you don't have a dual drum sander, you can just sand it down, spend some time, make sure it's has the same thickness, and you'll be all right. I've got the dual drum sander, so I just like to pass it through a couple times. We'll go through once or twice on the bottom until it's all flat and level, then I'll flip it over once and just take off whatever high marks there are. I don't want to take everything off because, as you can see, we've already got like some really nice saw marks and character showing. But if there is, when you run it through a machine like this, if there is one little spot that's high or a corner or something like that, then it takes it off and you know you've got a nice level surface. Okay, so here's the stage we're at right now. We've got a really nice flat bottom. We've got a nice flat-ish top, other than obviously where all the saw marks and stuff are, but that's what we wanted to preserve. The joints, as you can see, there's no gaps. They're really nice and tight. That's what I like to see. That's what gives you a strong joint. And if another carpenter or another woodworker comes and looks at the furniture, that's where their eyes go. At least that's where my eyes go. So now what we want to do is we're going to square up this tabletop, and then we're going to put the black filler in. Really quick, here's the bottom side of it as well. I just want to show you, like, when I look at, for me, when I judge myself on the type of joinery, I go and look where there is a joint, and I try to see if I can see it. Like, now that I get really close, you can see that there actually is a joint there. But when you look at the back side of it, I like it, especially if it's a homogeneous type wood, which it kind of is on the back here, where you have a hard time finding where the joints are. That means you've got a really nice tight glue up, a really strong piece of furniture. Okay, as you know, I've cut all the boards long, and now's the time where I'll square everything up. I actually didn't press record, and so I've already done part of it. I've left it long, wide, and long, long. So the front side of it, which is the part that still has the live edge on it, which was my straightest edge, and I didn't cut off. I actually almost did cut it off and then caught myself. I measured back 17 on both sides, and I cut that. So now it's parallel, and from there I'm going to use that to cut my square edges off. So we want it to end up being 53, and I cut all these boards 55. So I'm going to come in about an inch on each side, and then I'm going to use my square to trace out a line. And then use the track saw to cut a nice, straight, even, flush line on the side. Now this one's 90 degrees. I'll pull off that side, and I'll mark 53, which is our final dimension here. We can mark 53 from the top or the bottom, or just use your square. Since that one's square, then either method will get you there. Now that's going to be the end of our table. You can see there's even one little nail where a nail used to be, and that'll be our other side. I like that. I like the exposed frame on the end of the table. I think it looks awesome. Anyway, now we're going to grab our black wood filler. Usually I use the powdered stuff. They didn't have any at the store I usually go to, so I got some of the pre-mixed stuff. I just opened it, and it's a little thicker than what I usually like, so I am going to put it in a different container, water it down a little bit, and then spread it over. If you haven't watched the video where I did that on the door, the objective is to basically, I flood the whole thing, I fill every hole, every crack, every nail hole, and then we come back afterwards and sand it all off, and essentially expose all the wood that you see right now, but everywhere you see one of these saw marks, that's filled flat with black. And then it amplifies those, it makes them all kind of uniform, and makes for a real smooth surface. Sometimes I don't do that, part of the time. What I would do some of the times is just kind of clean out all this stuff with a wire brush, and then put the polyurethane right on top, and just let the wood be the wood with no filler, no anything. In this case, this is a sofa table, so it's not something that you're eating on. You're not going to spill water on it and have it go through the holes and anything. So it's not necessarily something you have to do, but it's kind of the look that the customer wants to go for, and it's fun to show you. So let's do it.